Let's get to our last discussion of the day. As prices of commodities in the market continue to rise, various sectors of the economy have been adversely affected by this. The latest is the aviation industry. It appears air passengers will have to pay more to enjoy the services of airlines in the country. This is because domestic airline operators have resolved to increase airfares by 100% with effect from next week. March the 1st, with the increment being across board. Now, part of the resolutions reached at the meeting of the operators in Lagos is that economy tickets will now be sold for 50,000 naira instead of the previous 22,000 naira for an hour flight rather. Domestic airline operators say their decision was reached to meet operating costs, especially with the hike of Jet A1 as aviation fuel to over 400 naira per litre. So joining me in the studio is aviation consultant Tayo Ujuri. It's nice to have you join me this morning.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, let's take off right away.
With the silver fact.
Exactly. Now, at times like this, Nigerians don't understand the intricacies, the details of all of those. The answer is go to the counter or you're booking online, book for your flight, and when it's time to leave, you take off.
Yes.
But now that Nigerians have to pay more, make us understand some of the dynamics leading to this right now.
Well, I would say, in my opinion, that the increase is long overdue because the cost
Long overdue?
Yes, because the cost factors have increased.
Okay.
You did mention one, the fuel, which is 40 to 60% of the cost of operations. We started buying fuel in January of last year at about average about 182 naira per litre. Now, at the end of the year in Lagos, ex-Lagos, it came to about 412 naira per litre. And that actually affects your cost of operations. Now, you have the handling charges. Another significant factor that affects our cost of operations with the factor of the cost of operations is the forex. We had forex at around 400 and 3 something earlier in last year, and eventually we had forex now at about 580. So that's actually affecting us a great deal, and this is actually affecting the cost. So we actually let's bring this home and see how does this now matter to the traveler. A 1 hour travel from Lagos to Abuja is at 22,000, less than $50. So if you say that same trip across board and you see all your costs, all those factors that add into your cost of operations, you're not able to break even. And you have to stay safe, you have to stay secured, you have to stay commercially viable. So you now see that there's need to actually increase. But at 100%, there'll be so much shock to the system, because you don't forget that aviation is an economic catalyst. However, we're tied to lots of other factors within the economy. The truth that we're grappling with post-COVID is supply chain management issues, 1. 2, globally, we're grappling with inflation. It's not just Nigeria. We're having inflation at 13.3 averagely. I believe it's higher than that. So with the inflation cost and the cost of everything, not just Jet A1, not just Forex, and every other thing, even bread on the road has increased. So with that, you find out that that's going to affect the passenger and the cost of traveling.
Okay, one would expect that since it's a privately run industry.
Yes.
It would have been left for airlines to determine what charges they want to. But when you peg a set the minimum, the floor at a setting, it doesn't look like it's economy of demand and supply anymore.
It is.
Oh,
it is. It's a peg, but it's what works for you.
Okay.
We'll find out eventually. It's water finding its level.
Okay.
Let's go where the rubber meets the road, or let's be very theoretical and say the market forces would take its place. Because you find out that In aviation, we have what you call the multimodal means of transportation. What those multimodal means of transportation are, we have competing means of transportation, which is road, which is 84% of the movement. You have the waterways, which is not optimized in Nigeria yet. We have the rail, which is moving, is gaining traction. So you find out that if it's too high, if the cost of travel is too high, you find that people will gravitate towards other means. And that would actually affect the operations and viability or sustainability of the airlines. At that point, they have to wake up and smell the roses and stay competitive and say, okay, what would actually make us fly? What would make us sustainable? And it's actually being able to see what model will work for us. Would it be low-cost carrier model? Would it be in light of all the cost of operation? What can we do? Do we need to partner with strategic, technical, or financial partners from abroad? Because we already have the geographical location, we have the people. It's just for us to gravitate that process so that we're able to actually open up not just the major airports, but the secondary airports.
All right. Informally, some people say whatever goes up in Nigeria never comes down.
Absolutely. Yes.
So now that the prices are going up at a time like this, to 50,000 naira, you know, the floor of it, based on the market forces you talked about earlier, is it likely that anything could happen for the prices to come down, or from there we're going to heaven?
We're not going to heaven. It's a reality, and it's called the bottom line. And it's when I'm sure we've had that those jokes somewhere. The school fees that we paid, and the school fees has been paid now.
It's not the same.
What's been paid actually took care of what I paid from 5 years of school.
Exactly.
So that's a reality. The cost of living increases. And this is actually Economics 101, or Form 3 economics. So it's going to go up, but it's been able to level it out on what are the market forces. And it's for us, it's not just about going up, it's for us to stay competitive. It's for us to actually be customer-centric, and it's for us to actually use aviation for that economic driver, because there are lots of openings, a lot of opportunities, lots of secondary airports that needs to be opened up within Nigeria and within West Africa that can be actually taken advantage of. Okay.
Now, how would this impact on passenger traffic? Because it's going to be an issue.
Yes.
Like you mentioned just as a passing earlier. The point there is there are other alternative transportation, but people feel that the safest way to travel is still, you know, aviation.
Absolutely it is.
You know, so, but how will this impact on the traffic of people traveling by air?
The shock will, let's go back and dovetail into where's that traffic coming from. We should actually see our traffic is driven 80% by business in Nigeria. Those triangular routes of Lagos, Abuja, Lagos, Port Harcourt, Lagos, Kano is driven by business. It's not tourism. So with that business, you find that that business, if that business still needs to be done, it will still drive. You're now finding that, however, there are a lot of other factors where you find out maybe it's just one trip instead of 3 trips. And you cannot do other meetings via other technology platforms. So those are the other options. But to answer your question and to further reiterate, you find that there will be a shock in the passenger traffic. That's what normally happens. We've seen the statistics. We've been able to see what happens when there's an increase in freight prices. There'll be a shock, the passenger traffic. And now, because the companies would not want to spend what they're spending, because they already have a budget. That budget has been fixed. That budget has been passed. So if I have a 10 million naira travel budget, and that travel budget is supposed to last me 12 months, and now I'm spending about 5 million in my first or second quarter, it's going to affect the budget. And they're not going to review the budget. So you find that there's going to be a reduction and shake in the passenger traffic. Thereafter, things will pick up. The good thing we have going for us in aviation this year is it's an electioneering year. There's going to be lots of movements. Well, if the April 26 convention that's actually been held. You'd have seen that traffic in Abuja, notwithstanding that.
Exactly.
Yes,
The hikes in price.
Yes.
It's not a respecter of the price.
Exactly. So you see that movement, that would actually affect us. So it's not just the economy. There are lots of macro factors that actually help us within aviation, help or affect us.
Okay.
So those are things.
In all of these dynamics you're talking about, we know that all the airlines are not the same.
Yes.
Some are there, others are here, taking care of different. So how are the smaller ones, managing through and navigating through all of these challenges?
Well, they find every airline starts with their model.
Okay.
And with their model, they've been able to evolve. Some obviously every company and every organization have their challenges. It's been able to see how they're able to meet and sustain their models. So with their models now, we've seen that, yes, even the top ones that have the most aircraft still have challenges. So it's not about the aircraft. So it's been able to be dynamic and ensure that what are we delivering to the traveling public. It's been on-time departures, because that's been an issue within Nigeria. Those that travel have a reason to travel and are time-sensitive passengers. So it's been able to ensure that it's right on time and ensure that it's on-time departures. That goes a long way. And we find out that actually, when you ensure that you're on time, and there's also the communication, customer service, the passengers gravitate towards you, and you find that they grow. And it's word of mouth as well.
Oh.
You find out the passengers are like, oh, we prefer this airline because we've seen their
so some of those reviews actually, because I remember traveling to Abuja sometime, and then with an airline I wouldn't want to mention.
You shouldn't.
Yeah, exactly. And it was my first time actually, and I was going with my family, and we had an experience that I wouldn't want to have again. And it was like, my wife was, they're very quick too.
Yes.
I would never go with this airline again. I said, well, never say never. It could be just the only option that you have sometime. Yes. And then eventually, on our way back from Abuja, we had to, because it was a return ticket. And we had one of the most pleasant experience coming back to Abuja with the same airlines. I said, so are you still saying you won't go with the airline again? But these are the issues sometimes. Yes. But let's talk about another issue that is related to this somehow. On the national economy today, the front page says April kickoff date for Nigeria Air doubtful. Now, we've been on this program several times where we talk about Nigeria, the national flag carrier, and all of that. And anytime we have that, Nigerians are always excited. Oh yeah, there's going to be that Nigeria Air or Nigeria Airways or Nigeria, whatever the thing is, it makes them excited. But here we are. Minister of Aviation had announced this sometime, and then what's the nature of things right now when it comes to having either a flag carrier or a national carrier?
Well, you said Nigerians are excited. I'm not one of those excited about the national carrier being government run.
You know the workings in there, so you may not be, but the rest, we just want to see that Nigeria Airway, oh, beautiful, and so on.
There are lots of Nigerian domestic airlines and regional airlines that are doing a good job.
Great.
No, there's no perfect organization, like you said, but they're evolving. It's been able to see what next and how can they actually spread across West Africa and domestic operations. That actually will strengthen Nigerian airlines. They become flag carriers. We've seen that happen before. You open that and you see Nigerian carriers traveling out of Nigeria. That's what we want. Government should and must focus on social amenities, the roads, infrastructure, security, education. That's, in my opinion, that's what the government should focus on. And the airline policies and enabling environments will drive sustainability and great aviation sector, radiant, robust aviation sector. That's what will drive. Once there's security, safety, the infrastructure is there, we'll see airlines want to come in here. because you find that at the moment, even the international airlines, you find the cost of operating out of Nigeria is high. It's because the cost of handling, the cost of operations is higher than even our neighbors 2 countries away. So you find out that this needs to be addressed. Once this is addressed, you find lots of players in the system. And with a lot of players, it becomes competitive. The price comes down, and we're able to actually open Nigeria, West Africa, and international. At that point, the government would actually be able to, and they're doing it. You find out during Emirates and Airpeace they had issues. But the government stood for Nigerian carrier. So that's...
Which is expected.
Exactly. So with that, if we don't need the Nigerian Air or Air Nigeria, in my opinion. We should have an enduring environment, great policies, and then the new companies, new airlines will come, or the ones that are available will become sustainable and vibrant flag carriers.
Yeah, but the point there is, but if we have a new carrier and it's opening up another channel, you know, another platform for Nigerians to be employed on one hand, and also because if new entrants are coming in, there's room for competition and all of that. Anyway, any regular person would say, isn't that good for business?
But what you're taking away, you said new entrants, which we both agree to, but new entrants operated and owned by government. Yes, they're saying it's 5% government owned and 95%. Yes, I understand that. But in post-COVID, in 2022, first quarter, how much of those investors are ready to bring money in to Nigeria to invest in buying aircrafts? Let's say you're starting with just an E190. That's a nice new aircraft. Who wants to put that money into Nigeria at this point?
Is Nigeria that bad?
It's not about this. But election is coming. Are you going to guarantee my investment post-election? Yeah. Are you going to guarantee my... So, and we've seen the precedent as well. We saw Virgin Nigeria. We've seen Nigerian Airways. So that 5%, and they actually, this project started about 2 years ago at Farnborough. It was launched. With that launch, we didn't see it's called plain agile project management. With project management, you're able to walk those stages. This is what we've done. This is how we've gone so far. This is who yes, we've seen those case studies, but how much of that has been shared with stakeholders? What's going to happen with our BASA rights? So there are lots of underlying questions that needed to be asked. And you need to employ. You need to have set up offices.
Exactly.
It doesn't just come off overnight. And this is what I didn't see happen.
Now, if those steps have to be taken, because that point you're making is really critical. Now, okay, maybe not necessarily step by step, but what are some of the things that must be on ground before an airline like that takes off?
There are lots.
Okay.
There are lots. You find out that, first of all, what kind of airline do you want to be?
Okay. You have to determine that.
Yeah, your model is key.
Okay.
Do you just want to service the secondary airports or just major airports, or just be a feeder airline to international airlines? I didn't know what that kind of the Air Nigeria project is all about. What kind of airline? Then you set up the airport, offices, the connectivity, the routes. Then obviously your equipment, the financing. Airline business is, we said it earlier,
capital intensive.
Very capital intensive, and it's highly volatile. We're open to the shocks in the system. We're the first to get hit once there's a sneeze in the system, and we're the last to come up. So once those shocks are there, you find out the equipment. Who's going to bring the equipment? Then you train the pilot, training. You train the crew, you train the pilot, you have a social organization. Then you set up your offices across all your stations.
And all this could take months.
Then you market to the traveling public. would you sincerely buy a ticket of an airline you don't know? It's all about knowing that brand. What people sell is about the brand.
Some people would like to stick to the brand they know.
Yes.
You know, they're loyal to it.
Exactly.
You know, others will like, okay, let me just try.
Yes.
And then some of the technique used is the reduced prices.
Yes.
You know when you bring down the cost, you're making comparison, and then the other airline says their airfare is 35. Okay, now 50, not less than 50,000,
yes.
And then we have this one that's saying mine is 40,000 or something.
Yes.
And then people want to just drive and see what it looks like or what it feels like.
So you find out it takes more than just seeing it. It's more of the implementation process and making things, putting things together. And that's what we've not done enough of. Hopefully, we have enough time to do that before the end of the year. Otherwise, we just put it on the back burner and we move on.
And think of other things. Now, just before we go, you mentioned earlier that the cost of all of these things in Nigeria is quite high. If we compare Nigeria to, say, Ghana, our younger sister, the younger, some of these countries, why is it so more costly to run this in Nigeria, the cost of all of this in Nigeria, than neighboring countries?
It's the obvious. It's the infrastructure. They've invested in Kotoka Airport. And it's been set up.
Very fantastic.
Yes,
airport.
Our airport's new terminal, I hear, is going to start in March at the international. So hopefully, I hope that comes on. But electricity is not stable.
Okay.
Diesel is at 410 per liter averagely. The cost of operations, it's a litany of things. So those are the challenges: security. And you have to get the armed police to move your crew. You have to, the hotel rates, all that cost is high.
That gives a glimpse. Thank you so much, Tayo Ojiri, for coming on the program today.
It's always a pleasure.
Thank you.
Take care.
So we look forward to a new regime, not less than 50,000 naira fare. Wow.
Market forces would.
Okay, it's all right. So
water will find its level.
We should have hope.
Hopefully.
Okay.
But we want to stay alive.
No, of course. Well. We need you to be alive so that we can enjoy life. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.